the answer to his question about the root cause. Have you determined it?
We have not yet determined the root cause of what we experienced from STS-119. And when we remove the quick disconnect in the seal assembly from 127 today, as we would go into that activity today and tonight, we intend to remove that flight seal and have that analyzed, and that may give us a little bit more data. But right now we're not confident, or let me restate that. We are confident that the repair procedure that did work successfully for 119 will work for 127. Cannot say that we have achieved that root cause to what that issue was, and we're going to continue to analyze that and investigate it. But we know that it worked for 119, and we'll go down that path and presume that it'll be successful for 127. And we are protected by launch commit criteria that if the leak does occur again, well, we just will not launch. And then if we find that there are no leaks, certainly that'll give us good cause for our ability to launch that day.
And you're confident there's zero danger if there are no leaks with regards to this particular problem?
Certainly.
And let me just follow up on that, because from a program standpoint, our goal is to always understand root cause ultimately, and it's necessary for us to continue to fly safely. So the action that we gave coming out of the MMT today, one of the actions that we gave was for the team to follow up with us before the next flight readiness review for the STS-128 mission on their assessment and review of the data here, combined with the STS-119 case where we had a very similar failure. So we can try to get to root cause. We'll do everything we can to get to root cause. And so that is a follow-up longer term. We need to go do more work on this problem, and we absolutely will go do that. In the meantime, as it relates to 127 and the vehicle on the pad, Pete's team is doing everything humanly possible to safely get us into a configuration to be able to go tank and fly. And as Pete mentioned, the reason that's okay that we don't necessarily have root cause in this case is because we're protected by the system and by the process and by the launch commit criteria. We'll change it out. It'll either work or it won't. If it doesn't, we're certainly not going to launch. If it does, then just like we did on 119, we are very confident we can go fly safely in that configuration. But ultimately, our goal is always to get to root cause. We don't see that as being necessary to be able to go fly safely because of the very processes that we have in place.
We'll now take questions from our callers and then come back to Kennedy for any follow-ups. Tarek?
Thank you very much. This is Tarek Malik from Space.com and Space News. I think I have one and a follow-up. And my first one, I guess, is for Pete Nikolenko. Pete, you mentioned that the schedule right now is tight but achievable if everything goes well. And I'm just curious how tight that is. If it's just a matter of hours then, or if you could take an afternoon delay from a thunderstorm tomorrow afternoon. Can you kind of give me an idea of how tight that clock is?
Well, Tarek, our schedule as laid out does take us right up to resuming the countdown clock at T-minus 11 hours on Tuesday afternoon. So if we have a significant weather delay or some unexpected technical issue in the matter of several hours, that may well impede our ability to make a launch attempt on Wednesday. But again, I'm confident the team so far has been making excellent progress at this point. So far, the weather continues to cooperate, and certainly we're on that path to making Wednesday at this point.
Thank you. And then just for Leroy, looking ahead, you mentioned the plan to return to this glitch on 128, but is there talk already or at all about having to redesign these quick disconnects just to avoid this type of I guess an annoying delay in the future? Thanks.
Let's see, Tarek, I don't think the team has gotten that far yet in terms of talking about a redesign. Through their review of the data, it's possible that a redesign will come into the trade space. I don't know that we know enough about in the very least, the new data that we have here on this mission for the 127 leak. So too early to know is the short answer, but it could become part of the trade space. We don't have very many missions left, so any redesign that takes any significant period of time is something that we would have to think hard about.
Okay, we'll now go to Irene.
Thanks very much. It's Irene Klotz with Reuters. Leroy, I appreciate the apples-to-apples comparison that you laid out as far as maximized launch opportunities, but and I also understand that you are marching forward on a plan that kind of keeps the option open for changing your mind on if the shuttle isn't launched on the 17th. But I was wondering if in the discussions today there was a big picture perspective about the overall goal of finishing the shuttle and finishing the station and retiring shuttle and having 15 months to get 8 missions off versus the other kind of opportunity on NASA's plate of getting the Constellation program started. And I also understand about the impacts to other Atlas payloads. But I was wondering if that kind of big picture conversation was really part of the discussions today, or if that's something that might come up if the shuttle does not launch on the 17th. Thanks.
Okay, Irene, it's a good question. I sort of tried to allude to the answer to at least part of that in my previous remarks. The answer is that in the mission management scrub turnaround meeting today, we did not have those discussions, nor would it be appropriate. That's a shuttle team and station team meeting. We have had discussions within the agency with the agency leadership, and in fact, in those discussions, those very things are the kind of factors that come into play as we begin to talk about trying to get both of these missions launched in this launch period. And so again, from a shuttle and station standpoint, in the big picture, any delay presents a little bit of additional risk. It's incremental risk, but it's additive to our ability to complete ultimately the mission in September of 2010. And so in that sense, not trying to launch the shuttle in the remaining part of this period and using the whole period to maximize and give LRO 4 launch attempts, if you will, has some impacts that we had to consider and we had to talk about. Similarly, as I understand the LRO L-Cross mission, they prefer this launch period as compared to the launch period that begins on June 30th because it has more optimum mission objectives than what they think they're going to be able to accomplish by launching in the period that starts June 30th. So in both cases, there is a preference. It's very difficult to completely accurately quantify that preference, but clearly where we've gotten to within the agency is that we want to maximize our launch opportunities for these 2 missions collectively in this launch period, and we want to be able to do it in a way where we can go launch each one of them safely. One of the things that we did talk a lot about within the shuttle MMT scrub turnaround meeting today was to talk about schedule and to talk about our ability to meet the schedule here and whether we felt like we were leaning too far forward to be able to make the 17th, whether or not the team was comfortable with the plan we had in front of us,